to cover today. So I think we're just going to go ahead and dive right into it. As always, it is me and our amazing co-host, Mr. Hank Hunt. How are
Hey,
you?
babe. How is it? How's it? How everybody doing today? Yeah, Leland, I agree. Based on our early discussions, I am stoked with anticipation.
All right, let's get right into it.
Let's do
So
it, brother.
first thing, Hank, some people are afraid of what's going on in the economy right
And they have a right to be. I say that only because many of them are not have not prepared themselves to the eventuality that they could lose their jobs. They have relied on their connections, their nepotism, their friends, their where they went to school, where they go to church. They've relied on all those to get them where they are now, and they are ordinary. They are average. Okay, and I say that only not in this, not to be um, dismissive or to be um, disrespectful. We become complacent without even realizing we're becoming complacent, and and we and we become um, unaware of a lot of the stuff that's happening around us. You were mentioning about the economy, and we've been talking about the state of affairs in the economy for a couple years. And most people are, they've been focusing on inflation without trying to understand the reasons for high inflation. They don't understand how globalization, and we talked about before, is impacting our everyday life. They don't understand how the decisions that are being made to counter Russia, or counter China, counter North Vietnam, counter anybody impacts our day to day life. And then what we want to do, have a tendency to do, is blame the government for what we don't have.
now? Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I guess you got to blame somebody. So
Well, but again, we've talked about this. When I'm pointing the finger at you, how many I got coming back at me?
enough.
Enough, more than enough. And Leland, I say that only because there are opportunities abound. But some time ago, a couple years ago, we were talking about how artificial intelligence
Yep, that's true.
will be changing the landscape for employment forever.
Forever. But what does that mean though? Changing the landscape, does that, and so okay, right now in the economy we have companies insulating themselves, and they're
Hmm.
doing that by basically making sure that if the economy continues to decline, that they are able to cut their losses.
Hmm. Survival mode.
Survival mode.
Hmm.
And it's one of those things, is like, yeah, you can't really be too upset with that. I mean, it's unfortunate, but again, it does make sense.
The companies are protecting themselves. What are individuals in the companies doing for themselves?
But the individuals are not protecting themselves.
That's right. And they're sitting there realizing that this boat might be sinking,
And still,
th- sitting there waiting for the eventuality and not taking aggressive action.
that's
Now
correct.
you ask us, and I'm sitting there going like, why? I mean, why? I've been fired from jobs. I've lost jobs. I've resigned from jobs. I've had companies to close and I have experienced all of that. Leland, I know what it feels like. I know what it tastes like. I know what it smells like. I know what it looks like, and it hurts. And what happens with all that happening around us is we don't feel worthy. We've experienced setbacks, disappointments, or what have you, and now we are no longer willing willing to take risks on anything. We sit there and we let other people make decisions on where we live, what we drive, what we eat, what we wear, where our kids go to school or not. We're letting someone else make all of those decisions for us. And they say, and there those who are listening saying, "What? He's crazy." My boss isn't doing that. Your boss is doing it by what he pays you or not. He tells you when to come to work, when to go to the bathroom, when to go to lunch, when to come home. And it says, hey, you need to come to work on Saturday and Sunday because we got this thing you have to do. And you have other plans for the family or what have you on Saturday and Sunday. And he says, Hank, just so that you understand the importance of this, if you don't show up on Saturday, don't come back in on Monday. Is that intimidation? You tell me, is that intimidation? And if you've been there, you know what it feels like. If you haven't been there, get ready. Get ready. So Leland, we've got an apprenticeship program. And in my opinion, and I'm biased. I am biased. I didn't say I was prejudiced. I said I'm biased.
Oh, there's a difference, huh?
And
Okay.
and if you tell me that you're not biased, you're lying. No, okay. So here I'm biased because we've got a program that we have tweaked and we have tried to meet the needs of people who want to get from where they are to where they want to be. Is it absolute? No, nothing is. But I think that you have tried to create a program that allowed people to take a chance on themselves for the first time in a long time. And as I said before, it's a paint by the numbers process. Here's the thing. The canvas is provided. The brushes are provided. The inks provided.
The acrylics are provided.
The acrylics. And the only thing they have to do is what?
Paint.
Paint.
Put on the apron.
Does it have to look like this? Can you see this painting? Does it have to look like that? No.
Hopefully not. It probably,
Yeah, well, I mean, I like that because people, hang on. I'm at home. That's mine. Okay, that's not a fake wall. I see me. I'm touching. That's mine. Okay. Point I'm making to you is, in my younger days, I didn't even think about art. I didn't appreciate art because we didn't have art at home. Yeah, there was nothing on the walls where I came along. So that gave me a desire to be more than my parents were. And the only way I could do that was to think differently. Come along, learn, apply, learn, apply, learn, apply. That's how you're going to do it. So my question to you is, are you willing to do something different to get what it is that you think you want? Because if you're not willing to do something differently, this discussion is not for you. And you will sit there with your stinking thinking for the rest of your life and blame the world. So you're inferior. You're insecure. You notice I said inferior. Why? That's a thought process. You're insecure. Why? That's a thought process. What happened to you in your younger days that or didn't happen to you in your younger days that makes you think that you're not worthy? Is there something? Is there something that causes you to think the way that you think, the way that, particularly for guys, you walk in a room, you see some other dudes around, you look at them and you're already sizing up as to who you're better than, bigger than, smarter than, wealthier than. Why? Doesn't matter. I like walking out in, I started to say street clothes. No, I like walking around in gym clothes. And that's somewhat being incognito. Because I learned as a youngster, you cannot tell the book by the cover. Speaking of books, this is a phenomenal book. It's called, what do you say when you talk to yourself?
Say that again.
What do you say when you talk to yourself?
Say that one more time.
What do you say when you talk to yourself? When things are not going the way that they should, what are you saying to yourself? Are you saying, well, you're stupid, you're crazy, you'll never be worth, you never this, that, and the other? Blah, blah, blah. Is that what you're telling yourself? Because if that's how you're thinking, guess what? You will continue to have stinking thinking. So for some of you, you might be thinking properly. I mean, you got good thought process. However, you're afraid to take risk. You're afraid to pull the trigger. You're afraid to release the brakes. Okay? You're afraid to release the brakes. You're afraid to take risks, take chances when you've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. And then I'm going to talk one more, and then I'm going to shut up for a moment because I think it's important. Please, I'm not here to try to offend anybody, but I'm being very direct. Leland, as I was telling you yesterday, when you've experienced certain things, it's not that you become an authority. Ooh, whatever the hell that means. But you can speak with a certain degree of conviction. I didn't bring the book, but there's this book called, can you read that, Leland?
The Slight Edge.
The Slight Edge. Okay. By a guy named Olson. Let me tell you what I learned about the slight edge. And hopefully this will make some sense to you. He says that your philosophy creates your attitude. And he says that your attitude creates your actions. Your actions create your results.
Wait,
and your results create your life.
wait a second, Hank, because can you tell everyone that creation process again?
I'm sorry?
Can you tell everyone the creation process again?
Oh, yes. That your attitude, first, your philosophy creates your attitude. Your attitude creates your actions. Your action create your results. And your results create your lifestyle. Now, with this apprenticeship program, we have created a platform that is predictable.
Wait, Hank. I don't want to brush over that. So can we put this in some layman terms?
Okay.
Your philosophy is your belief, right?
Yes.
So if I have a poor belief of myself, it creates a negative emotion, correct?
And everybody else around you sees it and knows it.
And then I have such a negative emotion because emotion is just short for energy in motion, right?
That's yes,
So
absolutely.
if I have a negative emotion, then the actual action that I take, the motion I take, is corresponding with negative, right?
Whoa, most of the time, yes. Or if it's positive, it's short bursts because the moment you come to a stoplight or stop sign and you start to think and you go like, oh man, I don't deserve this. What am I thinking?
So let me
Uh-huh.
paint it a little further.
Yes,
So
sir.
if I have negative thinking and I reach out to someone who has attained a type of success that I want,
Mhm.
and that person tells me to, for example, make an offer to a seller no matter what they want. And the moment that I get close to that stop sign, metaphorically, which could be, oh, but the seller said they wanted to sell it for 10 times what you told me to make the offer. That's beyond the point.
What and that's critical because they have probably heard no so many times on something that they thought was important or significant until they go into the equation anticipating the little word N-O. And it's a word. It's not an action. No is a word. It's not an action. Okay? And all they have to do is to probe no. Leland, can you help me to understand why this is not an acceptable offer to you? Well, it's too low. Well, help me to understand what too low means. Well, look, man, it's on the market for X, and I'm expecting X. Do you think your property is fairly valued? Are you, how did you come up with that figure? Well, listen, I remodeled this, I remodeled that. Okay, what are houses around you selling for? Well, I got the best house in the market, in the neighborhood. Oh, really? Do you think someone's going to be willing to pay more for a house in your neighborhood than all the other houses in your neighborhood? Well, but it's not like my house. I understand. Do you mind if I just provide a counter offer? Are you providing a counter? Are you stuck on this 200,000 that you want to sell your house for? Well, look, man, I'm stuck on it. Leland, I see your house has been on the market for 65 days. Any ideas why it hasn't sold yet? And then shut the hell up and wait for him to answer. Because the rule of salesman says that the next person, after you ask that question, the next person who speaks loses. But see, we get so nervous, Leland. First, we're afraid to make the call. And then someone says something, we're expecting it to say no. They didn't say no. They haven't said no. They're still engaged in the conversation. And we go like, "Phew, boy, man," because they're afraid of no, 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 no. No. And the opportunity is still there. So the next phone call, someone says that, look, I'm looking for 200,000. And all they have to do is make an offer. So you make an offer, or maybe you make an offer of 160. And they go like, oh man, they're not going to accept that. What your tonality now, your actions are saying you don't believe that they will accept 160. So because you don't believe that they will accept 160, you don't make an
offer.
Offer.
And that emotion or that behavior dictated the action or the lack of action.
That's right. And without action, what do you get?
You get no result.
You get no result. So if you don't get results, how do you have a lifestyle?
You won't have it.
Folk, I need to just say something without getting into particulars, okay? Because I need to be transparent. Because people say, it's easy for you, it's easy for you. When I left the military some years ago, it took me a year to find a job with over 20 years in the financial arena, with a degree in accounting and an MBA. And I thought I was highly qualified. I was successful, and I could not buy a job. And someone said, Hank, why don't you bet on yourself and start your own company? I'm like, okay. So I started my own company. At the same time, I'm still, quote, looking for a job. Why? Because I had been led to believe, get an education, find a good job. Get an education, find a good job, and work for the man. I was even looking for a good government job. But at the end of the day, JOB means just over broke, and someone else is deciding what I drive, where I live, when I come. Again, okay. And then God spoke to me, because God has a way of doing things. Sometimes to get your attention, God takes stuff away to be able to make a way. And somewhere along the line, I realized that I didn't need the man. I was the man. And if I wanted to get ahead in life, I had to follow. Whew, boy, I hate this, but it's true. I had to make certain that my philosophy was squared away, that I had changed my attitude, that I was taking actions every day. Did I do all of the actions every day? No, but I took actions every day. I got up, I got dressed, I got out. And soon the results started to come in. And because of the results, I met some guy named Leland Baptist, and the rest is history. History to this point in life. And Leland, I say that because I'm a lover of ice cream. I'm going to see if I can make it a nice analogy here. I'm a lover of ice cream. And when I was a young officer in the military, my soldiers, I was in charge of 44 soldiers, fire breathing military infantry guys. And they would complain about when they were going to get off. Well, in the military, you're on 24/7. But anyway, when you're going to get off. And I said to them, someone was complaining. And I said, you know what? If I gave each of you $20 and a half gallon of ice cream for you to buy your lunch and just chill, some of you would be complaining. You got $20 to buy whatever the hell you wanted to buy, and you got a half gallon of ice cream. But you're not complaining about the $20. You're complaining about the ice cream because you wanted strawberry and I gave you chocolate. You wanted chocolate, but I gave you vanilla. You wanted vanilla and I gave you Neapolitan. You wanted Neapolitan, I gave you walnut. The point is, any excuse will do when you don't want to do.
Yep, bad enough.
It doesn't, Leland. But the crazy thing, that has no matter whether it's bad. There was no place they would go. This is Vietnam era. Where are they going? Listen, we are training to go to war. Okay? We're training to go to war. So it's just one of those situations where, like, okay, what, what do you do now? What do you do now when there's an impasse? So I say to you, what are you going to do now? You've been in that job 5 years, 10 years. They've already told you that you're in the top rung of the ladder, or the rung you want to go to is somebody. He might be younger, prettier, smarter, more connected than you. So you won't get on that rung, and you've done the math. You won't get on that rung for another 10, 15 years. If things stay equal, what do you do? Now you settle for. And now you're looking at yourself. You start to hear that stuff when you were a young kid. And you hear the stuff and you don't think you're good enough. I will never. And now you're blaming the world because you're stuck on a rung on the ladder. Well, get your ass off the ladder. That's all. Just, find another ladder. And you say, what? The only other ladder around is a step stool. Will that allow you to reach higher than you can on your 2 feet? You've heard the cliche, when someone gives you lemon, make lemonade. No, I don't make lemonade. I make lemon meringue pie. Yeah, I like pie. I don't, come on now. You keep thinking one to me. You think that's all there is it? Let me tell you when it's over. And there's only one person who decides when it's over. And it doesn't matter whether you get killed in a car accident. But when God says it's over, that's when it's over. So I would just ask you to decide. I'm gonna, Leland. I got a book here. Decide that you want something, and once you decide, then create a plan or strategy. And you say, "Well, I don't know how to do that." We can help you, or find someone else that you know and trust better than us. Okay? Do we have answers? No, we have solutions. You say, well, "What's the difference between an answer and a solution?" A solution is a process. An answer is an answer, And then the question is, don't when you ask the question, you best know the answer, because you may be told something that you're not willing to do, and you don't like that answer. You don't like the solution, so you continue to stay there, hating every minute of it. I talked to a young man this morning, and he got a call. He's married with 2 kids. And he indicated he got a call from his wife to say, "Hey, listen, you need to pick the little girl up from daycare. She's not doing well." And he went and got his little daughter. And then he was notified that, hey, your son is only going to be in school a half day today. And he said, okay. So he went and got his son. My question to you, fathers, if you got a call right now to say, hey, your daughter or your son is sick, or you need to pick them up from school right now, okay? And the wife says, hey, or the girlfriend or the baby mama said, hey, listen, I need you to do such and such and such and such, okay? What is your response? Don't tell me you can't, because the answer to that is you won't, because you don't think it's your job. It's not your responsibility. If you can't look your boss in the eye and say, listen, I need to be take off for a couple of hours, then you're in the wrong place.
Or the rest of the day.
It could be the rest of the week. Okay. So it says it depends. So what do you want to do? It depends on what you want and how soon. It says, I've been blessed to have people that have grabbed my hand and pulled me along, grabbed my hand and walked beside me, or they have put me in a position where I am now the leader. I'm the one that's blazing the trail. With all of those comes a certain degree of self-awareness and humility. If you don't believe that you deserve, then you have to find a reason to deserve. If you don't believe that you can, you have to find a reason to feel, to know that you can. I walked away from corporate America without a job. Resigned, walked away. And people go, man, are you crazy? And my response was, hell, man, I'm crazy to stay there because I'm not respected. I will never achieve what I'm looking to achieve in life in that position. In that oh, they're going to move the headquarters to Chicago. And I played a game with them. I said, okay. They said, well, listen, we're going to relocate. We'll buy or sell your house. And I said, okay, all right, okay, that's cool. That's cool. They didn't know what size house I had. And they said, well, I said, well, my wife is in private, has a business. They said, well, we will buy the business or what have you. I said, okay. So we're sitting at the table for final negotiations, and I said, I said, okay, the house. They said, okay, well, how much is your house? 250,000. I laughed. They thought I was crazy. And I said, a double that. This was 2,000. And they said, you have a house? You have a house? Yeah. And well, your wife? I said, well, she's a doctor in private practice. So you say you're gonna buy the practice and move it to Chicago? And they said, well, we need to talk. They came back and offered me a buyout. The point I'm making is they assumed that they had a pigeon, and they didn't realize that they had a bald eagle. I wasn't planning to go to Chicago anyway.
Not a pigeon. Not a pigeon.
Oh, yeah, because they made assumptions. They just made assumptions because I was working. They just assumed. And when I told them the size of my house, their eyes got real big. I told them the value, their eyes got bigger. And when I said my wife is a medical doctor, OBGYN in private practice, they nearly fell off the freaking chair because they had tried to determine what's in the book without picking it up. They were talking about the cover of the book. Y'all might walk past this book about release your brakes, but there's some powerful information in. You can read if you want to. It's up to you. But I'm going to tell you that to get rid of the stinking thinking, you better read. Sure, you can listen to podcasts and someone else can tell you, You better read. So you can read and change your mind, or change your mind and read. But either way, you got to read. So life is a numbers game, people. Some of you have heard of something called the Pareto principle. In essence, it's an 80-20 or 20-80, depending on how you want to look at things. For me, it says that of 100 people, 20 of them are doing most of the work. For those who are not, that means the 80 people ain't doing crap. But even with the 20 that's doing the work, it's another correlation of 80-20. People who are problems, 20% of the people are giving you 80% of the problems. If you're in sales or what have you, it's a numbers game. The business, it's a numbers game. They're counting widgets, they're counting people. They are constantly counting, and they are constantly trying to improve the numbers that are in their bucket. And as long as you're able to add to their bucket, you stay around. And when you can no longer add to their bucket, you're gone. Suppose you were at who is that? Twitter 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. You were dumb, fat, and happy. You were an engineer, you were a programmer, you were all that other stuff, And all of a sudden, you get a text to say, "You're no longer needed." In Britain, they call it redundant, redundancy. You're no longer needed. What do you do? What? You got a mortgage? You got 2 cars, your kids in private school, and all that other stuff, and now you no longer have a freaking job. What do? You can start selling something, and you may not have enough to sell. What do? If you're making 6 figures, mid 6 figures, you can't just go to another tech company. You know why? Why, Leland? Tell them why they can't just walk to another tech company.
Because they're doing the same thing.
So where does that leave you? So only thing we do is help people to find solutions. Leland, will you refresh their memory on the solution that you have created? I've been with you now 2 years. We've modified, so we think we've got a pretty good solution. Will you just refresh the memory, please?
Here's the deal. We're teaching people hand by hand how to close the next 2 deals in 90 days or less. Period.
Okay. What kind of deals, sir? I'm sorry.
We're talking about real estate deals, wholesale deals, 90 days or less.
Do I have to be a realtor to be able to do this?
Absolutely not. You're probably better off if you're not a licensed realtor. You're not restricted by the state. You can live in Timbuktu, and as long as you have access to the internet and a cell phone, you're fine.
Do I need any other qualifications?
Yeah, I guess you need to be able to follow directions.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You gotta be willing to follow directions.
Okay. Wait a minute. That's too simple.
It's only as hard as somebody wants to make it. So if, for example, if I was in the military and Hank is my colonel, and Hank has more experience than I do, and Hank tells me to do a particular maneuver or to go a certain way, and I don't understand it, but then again, I'm a private. What is there to understand? It's either do or don't do. And it's the same thing. And I think one of the things that's very interesting, Hank, is like for many people, if they were working a job that paid them hourly, and the job that paid them hourly told them to do something, even when they don't understand the thing, they would do it.
Or they would try their damnedest to do it.
Try their best to do it.
That's right.
The different, and all that means is many people value the ability for someone else to pay them than the value for them to actually earn a living themselves.
Wow.
which basically means that they have less faith in their own ability, but they have all
Mhm.
the faith into someone else's ability.
That that gets back to what I was trying to get at before, and that's this fear that they're not good enough. And somewhere along the line, someone has made them feel insufficient. And the only thing I can say to all of you is, at a minimum, find this book. This book will help you to start to slowly change your thought process, to start to think more positively about yourself. And it might be incremental steps, please. It might be just incremental steps, inches. But eventually you'll get to the place where all of a sudden you look back and you've traveled miles, miles. And here you were thinking that you couldn't. And you look back and go like, but I did that? How did I do that? You followed a simple system. You followed a structured roadmap. It said stop, you stopped. It said make a right turn, you made a right turn. You were willing to follow instructions to get from where you are to where you want to be. And I use that terminology a lot, to get from where you are to where you want to be. And at the end of the day, you want to be driving. So you're probably asking, what is it that, who is this guy? I've been, Leland, you remember when someone asked me if I was a minister?
A couple of times, I think, maybe 10 or 12 times.
Please, folk, I am not. I am you. He said, well, yeah, Amy. I'm you. I've overcome and overcome and overcome and overcome and dealt with rejections, and dealt with fear, and dealt with insecurities. And somewhere along the line, God said, you're better than you think you are. And later on, God said, Hank, you know you're better than you think you are. And then God kept telling me that. And then all of a sudden, I run into some guy named Leland who didn't know me from Adam and said, hey, listen, I've seen you. I've talked with you. Let's sit down and have a cup of coffee. I think we can work together. And I said, man, I am not looking for a job. You remember Leland? I said,
I did.
I am retired. Now, I want you to understand something, y'all. I am retired. And I was sort of kind of playing hard to get because this young whippersnapper wants something from me. I had nothing to offer but me. That was it. And he says, I'm not looking for anything from you. I'm looking for you. And I'm going like, dang. And then running through my head was all of the no, you ain't good enough. You'll never amount to anything. Who the hell you think you are? Blah, 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 blah. To somebody saying, I want to join, I want to hitch my horse to your wagon or my wagon to your horse. Let's go make a difference. Am I making a difference to you today? I don't know. But one thing that I do is every morning I wake up and I say, thank you, Lord. I don't, this is not being religious, please. I'm not trying to be religious. I'm more spiritual than anything, but I know that there's something that moves me. My question is, what moves you? What makes you initially want to do something and then decide you gonna do something? Because if you won't do it for you, then there's a family member, there's a charity, there's a reason that's bigger than you that makes you get up and do something. So my challenge to you is to find it, embrace it, and make it happen.
If you guys have found this beneficial, all we ask is that you just take action. If you know that there's something that you should do for your family, do it. Your family loves you. It was kind of weird. So our families love us, but a lot of times out of fear, we just don't take action. So if you're not sure, we're giving away free courses, and you can get a free course by texting the word 10K or the phrase 10K to the phone number 317-689-0080. That's 317-689-0080, and text the phrase 10K. With that being said, it's been great. Thank you for being here with us, and we will catch you guys in the next one.
Peace, everybody.